boys and girls. Welcome again to Walla Kids channel. I hope you had a great week and are ready for our story time. It's Aunty Jan here to tell you a story about miracles. Today we're going to be talking about Elisha again, but this time with a different woman. We're going to hear about the widow with the 2 sons. Do you remember that story? The story about the oil that would not stop flowing. Right. So let's just get right into our story and begin. So one day, a woman came to see Elisha. She was really upset and she needed help. My husband, he's dead, she cried. And as you know, he was a believer in the one true God. He was very poor. And when he died, we had so many debts. We owed so many people money. Now, one of the men he owed money wants his money back, and he will not take no for an answer. I don't have the money. And because I cannot pay, the man is threatening to take my 2 sons and make them his slaves. Slaves! Oh, this woman was so sad, and Elisha was also sad for her. And then he went to the side and he talked to God. And he asked the Lord for guidance. How could God help this poor woman? Then he came back to the woman with an idea. And he said, "Tell me, what do you have in your house?" Elisha asked. "Only 1 small pot of oil," the tearful woman said. "Here's what you must do," said Elisha. "Go home and gather all the empty vessels you can find. Borrow empty jars from your neighbors too. You need to gather as many jars as you can." "Why? What for?" the woman asked. Elisha then told her what to do once the jars had been collected. The widow went home, and she and her sons gathered as many empty vessels as they could find. They borrowed bowls, they borrowed jars from their neighbors and friends, and made quite a huge collection. Then the woman went into her house and closed the door just as Elisha had told her. Then she started tipping the oil from her 1 small jar of olive oil into the first large bowl. She poured and poured and poured and poured and poured, and the little jar did not get empty. The oil kept flowing and flowing until the big bowl was filled. Wow! She then tipped the small jar of oil into a big bucket. Wow! The whole bucket filled up right to the top. The woman looked into the jar of oil, and it still wasn't empty. So she poured into another large jar and poured and poured and poured and poured. And when the jar filled up, she kept pouring the olive oil into basins and bowls and jugs and pots and cups and plates and all sorts of things. And all of them filled right up to the top. "Are there any containers left to fill?" the woman asked her sons. "No," they replied. "You have filled them all." And as soon as the woman heard this, the oil in her pot stopped coming out. It was totally empty. The happy woman ran to find Elisha. "I did everything you told me, and now I have masses and masses of olive oil." Elisha was so pleased. "Now go and sell the oil and use the money to pay your husband's debts. And there should be enough money left for you and your sons to buy food, clothes, and the things you need." The woman was so pleased at the way God had provided for her. Most of all, she could keep her sons and they could all look after each other. Oh, the woman returned home very happy. God had looked after them. Why? She had trusted God and obeyed God. Faith and obedience always go together like that. When God tells us what to do, we should do it because He always has an awesome reward for us at the end. Now, boys and girls, tell me, what do you think made the oil come out of the jars? Out of the little jar of oil, what do you think made the oil come out? Tell me, do you think it was a little tap that was in the jar that she opened and it just kept flowing? Or do you think it was magic? Or do you think it was God, the hand of God that was loving and merciful and kind, that saw this woman's need and made sure she was provided for? Did you say God? Well done. Yeah, definitely. That was God. No one does amazing things like that unless it's God. He's a wonderful, loving God who does amazing miracles in our lives. So, boys and girls, that's the end of our story. I hope you liked it. And we're going to see you again for more and more and more stories. See you next time. Bye.